Alrighty. Welcome to Des Moines Capitals Hockey live tonight, as we're going to talk a little bit of hockey with the legend Don Krueger. Want to welcome everybody to our broadcast tonight. Hope everybody is doing all right, fighting the COVID-19 virus. Hopefully no one has it, and no one's getting too bored at home. I think we are up and live. Don Krueger, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, you're here. Well, welcome to the Des Moines Capitals Hockey, and we're happy to have you along. And I know there's a lot of people out here want to know what's on your mind. You've been around for a long time with hockey, and you started out. Most people here in the Des Moines area. Oops, did Blake go on? Yep, looks like Blake Ramsey's trying to jump on here too. Most people around Des Moines know you from Krueger Amico and BP, and coaching hockey and being around the Valley Dowling and Capitals and the Buccaneers, and kind of tell us how you got involved with hockey, Don.
Well, when we moved here from Minneapolis, Minnesota, my older brother was playing, and I had just started playing up in Minneapolis. So when we moved here, so we just got started then and been going ever since.
Don, did you say were you started playing over the Bucks Arena when you were 9? Is that what you said?
Yes. I started earlier in Minneapolis, but it started when we moved here. So that's when I started here at Des Moines.
So when you started when you were 9, was it the Des Moines Capitals, or was it the Oakleys playing over there at the time?
I don't remember which came first. I think it was the Oakleys first, and I was the stickler for the visiting team.
How'd that go?
It was really interesting. I would go over and tell Ivan what they're talking about in the locker room and who they're going after and what they're going to do.
And that is Ivan Prediker, right?
Right. Yep.
My uncle that lives down in Florida, I told him I was going to do this with Don Krueger, and he recognized the name. He asked me about Ivan Prediker if I ever knew him, and I did not know him at all. But I see stuff in the Bucks Arena about him, and I hear good things. And I hear he was a super nice guy off the ice, but on the ice you didn't want to mess with him.
Yeah, he liked to fight. It didn't take much to turn his trigger.
Yeah. So, let's see, what else we got here? Well, you've been married to Kathy for 51 years, and without great wives like you and I have, she's been around this sport just as long as you have, and kind of like to know where you met your wife at, and did she know anything about hockey before she met you? And she has to know a lot about hockey now, as you have all your boys that have gone through hockey, and I still see you got grandkids in hockey. And so where'd you meet your wife at, Don?
We lived about 2 blocks apart. I used to live at 28th and Aurora in Des Moines, and she lived on Dawson's Road, which is like 2 blocks away, and she was the same age as my sister. She first started when we were from, and then of course
I think you're cutting in and out. I'm not sure. Is your mic on your computer there, Don, or you? Oh, that sounds a lot better.
How's that?
Hey, that sounds better. Yeah, you were cutting in and out. I think you
Okay.
got too far away from the mic on the computer there.
Okay. And we just we stayed. We ended up getting married. She was 20, and the rest is all history. And she didn't know anything about hockey at all. But she never missed any of the boys. Played in another city. Otherwise, you just go there.
What else do I got down here? I'm going to try to get Blake Ramsey on here. And I'm not sure if he's listening or what, but they have a few questions for you too. Well, tell me, what did you do before you had all the, I know you from Krueger gas stations. I remember meeting you on the 63rd and Hickman gas station. I was pumping my gas, and I must have had a Buccaneer sticker on. You came up and started talking Bucks hockey with me, and I think we hit it off ever since then. That's before I even knew anything going on a bit about the Capitals and so forth. But tell me a little bit. What did you do before? How did you end up buying all the gas? How many gas stations did you have? Krueger Amicos did you have here in Des Moines? I want to say
think
5.
at one time we had 9 at the most.
Oh
but
my
most
gosh.
of the time 6. Yeah, that's why I don't have any hair.
And when you first started, did you buy 4 or 5 gas stations, Krueger Amicos at a time, or did you start out with one somewhere and just kept growing?
Well, I started at 8th Street, that's Des Moines, and then every time Amico needed someone to run a station somewhere, I seemed to be the guinea pig, and that's how it all started. But it just I think that's down at 63rd and 8th Street where I met some of the hockey people from the rink, and Ron Hall. I don't know if you remember Ron Hall, Sporting Goods over on 73rd and University. You remember him?
I recognize the name, but I don't remember who he is. No.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he's the one that talked me into getting Scott involved. Scott was like 4 years old, and that was the start of it. And then, the pro team went broke, and I think there was like 20 or 30 of us that met over at Gene Stambro's office over on Douglas, and had a meeting to see what we out in Des Moines, and so we had a meeting with Crawford Hubble, and he was nice enough to offer that we could rent the building for $100.
Wow.
The major problem was that the pro team had sold the Zamboni. The back room was all tore apart. It was just we just got volunteered, do all the work. Running, I had to teach everybody how to run the Zamboni, and we had people volunteer to do the concession. This skid, it was quite an ordeal.
Yeah, well, it still
But
is.
that's how Well, I was just going to say that that's how the bus got started, because we sat in a board meeting. We needed a new floor. Pipes underneath the floor were all rotten. Our boards were in bad shape. The roof was in really bad shape. So we decided, we talked to some people in 2 cities about the United States Hockey League. We went and met with them, and I think, if I remember right, we all threw in $2,000 to buy the franchise for the team way back when. But that was the salvation of amateur hockey. We had 150, maybe 2. And we knew that we couldn't ask the parents to give that kind of money. So the Bucks were, the salvation program, so to speak. And we owned it. We also owned all the presents from the Bucks. It was very interesting, and it's really neat now to look. When I think of 150 kids in a whole program, over my 8-year-old grand, there's and it's just really I think it's what a lot of us put in as volunteering our time and stuff was well worth it. Anything to keep kids busy, and it's a wonderful sport.
Well,
So,
yeah,
that's
you talk about keeping kids busy. I have Capital players today text me, and they're bored to death. They would probably do anything to go step on that ice over there right next door to you and get on the ice. So they're definitely bored. No school going on, and
yeah. Well, Joe and Clark were over yesterday, and they said, "Is there ice over there?" And Jan, you think there's any way we can skate? But I don't think that it's that they're all there, but they would love to get on that ice.
Don, we're going to try to figure out your audio here. You're cutting in and out. Let's see. Blake Ramsey, are you on there?
Yes, sir, Tony. How are you?
Hey, there you are. Good. You're on here with Don Krueger. You kind of know this guy, don't you?
Don Krueger, how are you?
Good for you, Brian.
Good.
Oh, Blake, excuse me. Sorry.
Right.
Well, I think before we hey Don, is Joe at your house? Joe.
No, but Kristen is.
Well, Joe's asking me if he could call in. I don't know if Joe wants to call in or not. I probably get Joe on here. I don't know where I'd put. Yeah, I'll probably get him on here. But I'll let you. Blake wants to ask you some questions. While he asks you some questions, I'm gonna chat with Joe here on instant messaging. So go ahead, Blake. Blake Ramsey, number 10 for the Capitals.
Donnie,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to know the story about you putting your hat backwards from front to back.
I wonder where you get all these stuff from. I'm sure from your dad. I don't know. I always when I was coaching or around the rink, I seemed to always turn my hat around and just a habit I had of back when I was younger.
And then, what's your
Yeah.
favorite karaoke memory or song?
I would have to think of when we were up in Minnesota. The parents, we were having a little bit too much fun, and trying to think of the songs we sang a whole bunch of them. But we ended up on top of the tables singing, and it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And then, what was your favorite men's league hockey team?
Favorite team?
Yeah.
Well, the one I played with your dad and your uncle. Trying to think of the name of the team.
Was it the Denver Discos?
That's it. I don't know how I could ever forget that. After our victories, we used to go up there and party a little bit.
Really? How did you get the nickname Bumpy?
Oop, we lose him. Don, I think you froze up there. Uh-oh. Blake, we might have lost Don.
Did we?
Yeah, he's froze up on my screen.
Yeah, I think it's a bit fuzzy on his end, maybe.
Yeah, I think so too. We might have. Well, we see a smile. That's about all we see.
Yeah.
Come on, Don, come back to us. I'm trying to bring him back, but I think it's on his end. Well, Blake, since I have
send
you
Kristen
on.
a text.
Yeah, send her a text. I don't have her number. Send her a text. See what it looks like on their side. Sorry about that, guys. Don's audio has been going in and out tonight. I'm not sure what internet connection they have over their house, but it is definitely froze up. Froze up. might have to send them a link here.
It says Don Krueger logged in. Is that what it says on yours?
Yeah, it says it. Yeah, it says that he's logged in, but he froze up on my screen. It looks like he's froze up on YouTube too. So, sorry guys, everybody listen, but I'm sure no one else out there has anything really to do. Everybody's locked down. And Blake, how was your season up at Iowa State?
It was pretty good. We ended up ranked 19th at the end of the year. We did not make nationals, but we had a good season. We had a young team, so started off a little slow and picked it up, but
Yeah,
it was fun. It was good.
Alright, we're going to close this out. I'm going to see if I can get her to call in, which would be a little bit better for her. Let's see, connect with a phone call. I've never done this with connect with a phone call, so sorry guys. So bear with us guys. I need a producer when I do this stuff. Of course my password's not long.
What have you been up to since hockey's ended, Tony?
You know, I've been real busy at work with all the restaurants being shut down. It's definitely been a lot busier for me. With nice weather a few weeks ago or last weekend, was able to go down and get our get our camper set in place. And
Nice.
but
Down at the lake?
Yeah, but now they closed the lake, so not able to do that. So
That's unfortunate.
yeah, see, I don't think I connect the call. All right, we're gonna do this a different way. I'm gonna just try to get him on. Just try a voice call here. See if I can hear him. I don't know how I'll patch it in though. Sorry guys, people on here. Are you on there, Kristen? I don't know if that's any. Did he lose connection there?
It says that you disconnected the video.
Oh, great. So let's try to connect it again.
Saying that they had a hard time hearing him.
Yeah, I just don't know how to get it. I don't know how to get a phone call on here. I've never had to do that, so we're going to do another video call here. I'm going to text you another link here, and we will. Maybe he needs to move closer up to the. Are you using an iPad or are you on a computer? Or? Hey, that might work. So let's do that. I'll text you a new link here. So bear with us, people. Well, Blake, it was going well until everything. What the
Yeah.
heck?
So I got on.
No, yeah, I'm not sure. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna try to text here. Get a new link sent out to him. It's a lot easier broadcasting hockey games than it is trying to do this live studio stuff.
Pretty cool setup going on, though.
Yeah, thanks to the Capitals board. They checked out thousands and thousands of dollars to get my basement redone, and I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It's a virtual studio here, so just a program. Blake, so you're done at college too. They canceled the rest of the school year, did they?
Yeah. They everything moved to online classes after spring break for the rest of the year. So
How's that going?
it's going pretty well. Definitely a lot different, but it's going pretty good.
So, were you able to go back up to Iowa State and grab your belongings, or?
Yeah, I went back up there when we got back from spring break that Sunday and just got all my clothes and everything that I needed just to bring back home. Probably won't go back up there until all this
Don's
is
back
over.
on.
So.
Don's back on here. Hey, how's that? Can you hear me now, guys?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, that sounds a
hear
little bit
us?
better. Can you hear us all right, Don?
Yeah, fine.
Perfect. Well, we lost you there. Sorry about that. We're going to blame it on Blake. He jumped on there and everything went the heck. I got to get you back up on my screen here, though.
Yeah, my apologies.
Let's go to screen one.
They hear my director.
All right, Don, you're back on the broadcast up there.
There we go.
Okay, sounds good.
And some people are saying there's quite a bit of a buzz going on, and I'm not sure where the buzz is coming from. I don't hear a buzz, so that would just be something I'll have to go back
We have
and
a little
listen to.
buzz here.
And just got tagged on the Facebook page here. So anyway, Don, we'll keep going here. Blake, did you
Okay.
have any
Yeah,
more
I got a few
questions?
more questions.
There you go. All right.
Yeah,
Blake, keep going with the questions.
How'd you get the nickname Bumpy?
Well, my dad's nickname to the grandkids was Bumpy, and I guess I just took over the name from my dad, I guess.
Okay, awesome. What was your favorite hockey memory from when you were coaching?
Oh boy. I would say it would have to be when we won the state tournament at the end of the year. When we had just taken over the team, Valley Dowling, and I think it was 89. We were like, I had taken over this team about halfway through the season, and we were like 3-11, and we lost 2 games, and then we won all the rest of them. And the highlight was when at the state tournament, we knocked off Waterloo Hoop Columbus, that was undefeated, and went on to win the state tournament. I think that's something I'll never forget. It was so neat for the kids.
Yeah,
Don,
that's awesome.
how many teams were in the league back then, Don? Do you remember how many teams were in the league?
Let's see, way back then it was probably 8 total back then. It was basically all the Iowa teams that are still in it. Except like Waterloo had 2 teams.
Oh, wow.
Most of the rest were all the same. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Blake, do you have any more questions for him?
Which one of your kids were on that team?
That would have been Brian and my 6th son, Tony Dressen, and I think Nick was on it. He was either on that or next year when we won it again.
Okay.
So yeah, those were the good old years.
What was your favorite hockey memory from when you were playing?
Well, I played on a men's league team when I was a freshman in high school, and we were on a traveling team. And my first time on the ice, I was there was a priest from Dowling, Father Burns. I was on the ice with him, and all of a sudden, I guess I slashed the guy too hard, so he came after me, and both team benches emptied, and by the time they got it all broken up and everything, we went over to the penalty box, and you know how they are in Sioux City, they're all throwing beer at us, and I was scared to death. Something I'll never forget.
I love it.
You know how the people can get in Sioux City.
Yes. Yes.
A couple of viewers have texted me some questions here, but how did my grandpa get the nickname Snowflake?
Well, You probably have to ask my son Scott, because he gives everybody a nickname, as you know. So I'm not sure how
Okay.
that came
And my uncle wants to know, who was your favorite Ramsey to watch play?
along. I'm not going to touch that one. They're all good. They're kind of like the Krugers, the Krugers and the Ramseys. Those are hockey families. The Marions. There's a bunch I don't want to miss, but those come to heart quick.
Yeah.
But
If you had to pick one of your,
If
yeah, for sure. If you had to pick one of your sons for an enforcer, one to go in a shootout, and one to be team captain, who would you choose?
Oh boy. Well, Mark or Nick would have to be the enforcer.
Okay.
They both had pretty bad tempers. Let's see. What was the other one? Shootout.
Shootout and captain.
That would have to be Brian or Scott or probably Brad. Those three were pretty good at snipers.
Yeah.
If you asked each one of them, they would say they could be the top one.
Yeah.
Don
What
Krueger,
was there most?
Joe Baxter jumped in here, and he said he was on that Dubuque team back in '89 when Valley Dowling beat the Dubuque team in the championship game. He says Joe Baxter was a sophomore on the Dubuque team, so
Oh, he was.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
So you might, yeah. So
Yes,
yeah.
that was. Remember that game very well.
And you played in the, was it over there where we stay now by the Holiday Inn? I can't remember. Five Flags, is it? Joe
No,
probably jumped on.
it was in Des Moines.
Oh, it was in Des
It was
Moines.
in Des
Okay.
Moines.
All right.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yes, enjoyed it.
Sorry, Blake.
That's all the questions I have, Tony.
Oh, well, awesome. Well, you did a great job. You came up with a lot of
Yes,
questions,
thank
good
you.
answers.
Thanks very much.
You want to just
Yeah.
stay on the broadcast here, Blake, and just kind of keep
I
going
can.
out there?
Can Joe? Is Joe trying to get on, Tony?
You know what? I don't know if he was. I did send him a link, but I can send him a link. And just see here as you guys have
One
thrown
thing
some
I'd like to,
monkey wrenches at me tonight.
one of the things I'd like to add, Kathy and I enjoyed very much watching our boys play, but it's just as fun watching our grandsons play now. Kind of relives the whole thing. It's been a lot of fun. You got a lot of
Yeah.
years to go, so that's even better.
Well, Don, I even remember when you had a little break in the action. Maybe none of the grandkids and none of your kids were playing Capitals, but I think it was my oldest son Tyler was playing, and I remember you going over there and watching Tyler play it. And I don't think you
Sure.
had anybody even on the team back then. But
Yeah,
you're always at the rink, and I certainly remember. I don't remember, but you told me a story as I'm trying to get Joe on the line here. You were up there for Capitals practice at the end of the year, and we were sitting up there in Section 9 there, and you told me a story about that Zamboni breaking down on the ice, and as I'm trying to get Joe on the line here, tell everybody about the story you told me about the Zamboni breaking down. The axle broke down, you had to tow it off the ice.
Oh, well, this is back when amateur hockey owned the rink. I was the head of building and maintenance, and we were all cleaning, and Ron Hall and Jerry Warwick were scraping the ice, and they were going to finish doing that. And I left for home, and I get a call about 10 minutes after I'm home that the Zamboni, the back axle broke way in the far corner, and it was full of water. So make a long story short, um, I had to go get my tow truck, and we had to take out a side of the boards over there so we could winch it out because it was so heavy because it was full of ice or water and ice because we were scraping it. And we were having a state high school tournament in Des Moines the next day. First game started at 5. And anyway, we got the part at 4 o'clock, and we were ready to go for the tournament. But we had a lot of that stuff going on back when amateur owned it because we didn't have much money to spend on the equipment. That was one of the many.
Well, hopefully I get Joe on here. I sent him a text here, but we're going to kind of go. I kind of got some notes here from Betsy this week and on all your boys playing hockey, and if I mess something up, it's her fault. And she says she was may or may not have been drinking a Jägermeister that night. So they're laughing now.
He's hanging around with that guy that causes those kind of problems.
Yes, yes. Well, you had your son Scott, your oldest one. I get notes here. He played 8th when he was playing. He was an 8th grader, and he got called up to play with the high school kids for Valley Dowling. And I mean, congratulations for all your kids playing for the Bucks. But he played for the Bucks his junior and senior year, and then went off to University of Wisconsin Stevens Point College hockey, and then he coached the Capitals. So, can you kind of tell us anything you want to add to watching Scott's career and up through there?
What was really interesting was, well, first of all, in his 4 years there, his team won the national championship 3 out of the 4 years, and the 4th one they lost in New York. And so he had such a wonderful experience. It was unbelievable. And I got to go to a couple of this. They were in like New York and all these different places. So, but it was really good experience. And things that he was the first one when he played his last game of college hockey in New York. He walked up the stairs and he started crying. I did, and it was, and then I had to drive all the way home. And I was calling Kathy, and then she told me that the Bucks were playing in St. Paul, and Nick was on the team. Coach said that he could ride home with me, so it was a neat experience.
Brian Ramsey wants me to pass along that Don was a much better coach than your son Scott was. I'm supposed to pass that along to you.
I'd have to agree with you.
So
I didn't have the mouth he did.
So how did your son Scott become when he came back from college, or how did he?
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to tell you.
How did he come? Well, was it a Valley Dowling team? And then I know it was the Capitals, but did he start the Capitals? Was his first goes to the Capitals? Or?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, basically, I had resigned, and at the board meeting, I said that we needed to pay a coach because the time involved, practice every night, weekends you're gone, and have to be in there, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you don't get home till 6 or 7 at night because you stay and make the practice for the next day. You have to talk to players. So anyway, I suggested that they really look for someone, because trying to find somebody to be there at 4 o'clock that's working is pretty tough. But anyway, so they started interviewing people. Well, Scott was just graduating from Stevens Point, and he wanted to do it. And I was kind of shocked at first, but he took off. He took over after I left, and then after he left, somewhere in there, Nick coached also, So our family has been involved in the coaching for the Valley Dowling Capitals. It's the same thing to me, you know. Uh, but Scott did a wonderful job. Came up with the idea of having the varsity and JV practice together, and it was a fantastic idea because the younger kids started really working harder to try and get to that level of varsity. And they also started the rule of each week the roster was turned out that Friday night, so some of the younger kids could work their way into playing. So that was a big milestone. It's still used today.
Yep.
And I think it's great.
Yeah, I think it's great too. It's funny how.
But he took over after. Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how you set those rules up or that situation up, and it's still used today. I know Coach. There's been Andy Wade was a coach, and somewhere in there Scott Long was a coach in between Scott Krueger and Brian Spring. I don't think I'm missing anybody out that's coached Capitals. I think there's only been 4 coaches.
Nick coached for a little bit too.
Oh, he did. So I don't remember that part of Nick coaching at all. But so let's talk a little bit about Brian. I have notes here from, like I say, if they're wrong, blame it on Betsy. But Brian played for Valley Dowling his freshman year through his senior year. He made the Bucks his senior year, but he decided to stay with the Valley Dowling team because something about a 60-game winning streak, and he was able to play with Nick. So it looks like Brian was a senior and Nick was a freshman. And says Don coached both Brian and Nick and Tony Dress and Matt Moulton during the 60-game win streak. So tell me about that 60-game win streak, and that had to have been over multiple years unless they played a lot heavier schedule than what we play today.
The first year I started coaching. I don't know. I think there was like after the state tournament and everything, there was like 10 or 12 games that we won straight without losing, and then in that 88-89 season, we went undefeated all through that, and then the next year, I think we went another 10 games before we lost any. So, yeah, it was a really neat experience. A lot of great kids, and at one time, I don't know if you know this, Tony, but we had Valley Dowling had 2 JV teams.
No, I did not know that.
And they played each other for the championship. So that's kind of when the talk started about having 2 teams. And if I look back, that's one of the hardest things because a lot of people didn't want 2 teams.
Yeah, and 2 teams he's talking about is the Des Moines Capitals and the Des Moines Oakleys, and I kind of remember that split. I remember that being tough, and it's tough still to this day as you have your junior buck players are playing together, and then you come up your freshman or sophomore year, and one buddy goes to the Oakleys, one goes to the Capitals in the draft, and so it's still tough this year. But both those teams very competitive with each other.
Whoever thought we'd have 3,000 people watching a high school hockey team
on a Tuesday night?
Hockey teams in Des Moines.
I wish we could get that every night.
So neat for the kids.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And getting back to Brian, he also after the Valley Dowling, then he played a year for the Bucks, and that's when Ferguson came in, and he wanted him to stay and play another year. And Brian told his mother and I, he said, "I've had enough of the bus trips. I love hockey, but I don't like the bus."
Those were the days when they, I remember, I'm not sure which one of your sons was playing, and I went up and watched them up in Thunder Bay, Canada. I went up there twice. I think we attempted to go up there 4 times, and twice we got turned. One time with the ice storm, and one with the blizzard. I remember going up and watching your boys play up in Thunder Bay, so that would be a hell of a road trip. if I'm not mistaken,
Well, I don't-
I've heard rumors that Bob Ferguson helped drive the bus. I'm not sure if that's true or not.
I wouldn't be surprised. Well, one more story about Thunder Bay. I was on the Bucks board, and Owens at the time had to go coach one of the national teams, and so that made Nick the coach. The only problem, as you know, is when you go to Thunder Bay, there's a lot of fighting. Coaches get kicked out. So I went along as an assistant coach. I never did any coaching at all, but just in case Nick got kicked out. So I went on that bus to Thunder Bay. I remember all that, but it all ended up fine. Nick did a fantastic job, and I think we even won 2 games up there, which is unusual.
I think I was at those games. I think I remember that. I want to, before we move on to Nick here, say hi to Joe. Joe Krueger just jumped on here while we were talking. Joe, can you hear us?
Joe.
Yeah, I can hear you. Hi, Tony. Blake. Hi, Bumpy.
Hey,
Hello, Joe.
All right, we're going to keep rolling
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
What number were you, Tony?
What's that?
What number were you, Joe? What year did you play? For the viewers?
I play?
Yeah,
I was
for
number
the viewers.
30. I played with you, Blake.
All right, you guys done fighting yet? They're laughing. All right, we're going to move on to Nick. And
Okay.
Nick played. It says Nick played for Valiant for 4 years, and then played for the Bucks and Ferris State. So I didn't realize. So Nick was. I was thinking Nick played for the Capitals, but evidently he didn't play for the Capitals.
No, I guess he did. Yeah, he did. Nick played for the Capitals. Or was Oakley? Or not Oakley. It was
Oh, wait. Yeah.
Valley County.
Valley Dowling.
And then he played on. I think he played on the Capitals too
Okay.
for years.
Well, we'll blame that one on
A
Betsy.
little story about Nick. Most of the boys all started playing when they were 4, but this Kathy called me. She was taking the boys up to Ames to a summer hockey camp, and Scott and Brian, and Nick cried all the way up there and all the way back that he wanted to play hockey. So she called me, and I said, go over to Irwin's, and she got him they were called Little Beaver skates. So we picked up the skates, we took them up to pick up the boys, and they had a public skating after. We put the skates on him, and he just took off skating. No one had to hold on to his hands or anything. And he was just still in diapers, his mother said. So he learned how to skate. Man, he's not going to be happy with his mother. So I didn't say it, she did. But,
So his
Yeah.
days. He played a couple years for Ferris State
yeah.
after the Bucks. Yeah.
Yeah. He decided that he was used to Ferguson as his coach, and he was the neatest guy in the whole world. He could get kids to run through the walls, whatever, and he liked all the kids at Ferris and everything, but he decided after sophomore year he wanted to come back here and play for Iowa State and finish his education at Iowa State, and so that's how it ended up with him. But he was also let's see, he was the captain when he was on the Buccaneers, and he was when he was played on Valley Down, he was captain, and Scott was also captain when he was on the Buccaneers, and at Stevens Point, he was also captain. So
That's a great honor. That's awesome.
yeah.
All right, so Mark played 4 years for the Capitals, played for the Bucks, and was coached by his brother Scott. And I'm not sure which boy it was. I don't remember. I was there at the Bucks arena, but the night. Tell us about the night. Which one of them got cut on the arm pretty bad down there in
That was
North End?
that
Was it?
Nick. Yeah, and he checked the guy behind the net, and they both went down. The guy got up before Nick, and as we went to take off with his skate, landed right on his wrist, and you could just see the blood squirting out as he was skating to the bench. And when I saw Coach Ferguson's face, I knew it was bad. And they took him off into the referee's room. And Doc Brown, I don't know if you remember him, been a great hockey person for a long time, came down in there, and he's calling the ambulance and talking to the doctors there. They're trying to stop the bleeding. And anyway, we ended up going to the emergency, and he needed to have surgery. And the surgeon said that, by this time it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. He said he'd like to go home and get some sleep because it's a 7 or 8 hour surgery.
Oh,
and,
gosh.
But he had also told us that the chances of Nick playing hockey anymore were, slim, very slim, that he'd be able to do any sports. And so it was a pretty traumatic experience for the family. And it got so bad at home, we just had to take our phone off the hook because the phone just rang off the hook just continually. And it was really neat, though. Once he got out of the hospital and stuff, he would go to every practice, and he would, some of the players would come and have lunch with him and made him really feel a part of the team. And then he decided he wanted to go back the next year and play, and he did, and did really well, and that's when he got his, his scholarship to Ferris. So it was really quite an experience, but it all turned out well.
Well, that's good, and Nick's a great. I call him a young man still. And somebody's got a buzz there. Is that you, Blake? Is that me?
Yeah, it's me. My apologies, Tony.
So let's go on to Brad. Brad played all 4 years for the Capitals.
Well, we got to finish Mark.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't finish Mark. Sorry, Mark. I'm jumping way ahead.
Yeah.
And my wife's laughing at me over there.
This is over. I'll hear
See, I need a producer. Sorry, Mark. So he played 4 years for the Capitals, and then, like I say, played for the Bucks and coached by his brother Scott. I have often wondered, with Scott coaching his brother, was he harder on his brother than the other players, or how'd that go?
You'd have to, but also I don't know if you knew it, but when Mark played on the Bucks, Nick was the assistant coach. So
I do remember that.
That was quite. Yeah, there was a nice article in the paper, a picture of the two boys, and they interviewed both of them, and it was real nice. But Mark was kind of the enforcer. I can remember him coming home one day, and he said, "Owens wants me to be the enforcer on the team," and he said, "I really don't want to do that." He said, "I don't mind fighting, but somebody's got to get me aggravated first."
Well, I think I remember him on. I sat in section 16 at the time, and I think he got in a fight in behind the net there one night. I do believe he was getting his butt kicked there, and I don't know what went through his head, but I think maybe he thought he better not lose that fight at home, and he popped his head up out of there and just he dropped the kid in a couple of punches. So I never asked him about it, but I figured he probably didn't want to get shit from the rest of his brothers that he got his ass kicked at Buccaneers Arena. So yeah, Mark was. I think I only saw him fight one time. He might have fought more than that, but I only saw him fight once, or remember him fighting once. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, they had that was the Bucks team. Those years was really good. And they won the whole thing. I think that year it was really one of the years he played.
Maybe 94, 95?
Yeah, I think so. I lose track of years.
Yeah, I do too, Don. As one of the championship teams.
We went on a lot of road trips over the years.
Yes.
So it was a lot of fun.
You put some miles on those cars.
Out of all the boys, he was probably the orneriest one. If I'd said something was white, he said it was black. And every once in a while, when he has a little bit too much to drink, he apologized to me, and I said, "That's all right. You're going to get paid back with Easton and Note."
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Anyway, no.
Anything more on Mark before I short him out there and move on to Brad?
I don't think so.
All right. Well.
Yeah, well, we could probably spend an hour on Brad.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Brad played 4 years for the Capitals and then played for North Iowa Outlaws, and then went on to play for Iowa State. I don't.
Yeah. Well,
did I miss anything?
He played for.
He played for the Bucks too. That's where I missed it.
Yeah, played a year for the Bucks, and then he went up there, and he ended up being the captain of the team, and they had a really good team, and it ended up being a really good experience for him, And then he went to Iowa State, and I think they lost in the championship game, I think it was his senior year, and that was kind of special. And he was, in fact, it was funny because he would always brag about his fights. In fact, he had the videos of every one he'd been in, and Iowa State. And just last weekend, him and Catherine, his fiance, she made him. They went down the lake, and she made her watch all the. He made her watch all the games of his and the fights he was in all kind of time.
They're no longer engaged.
Yes, of course he did. Of course he did. Yeah, and I think
he had. Brad also had 4 dads besides me, because they all told him, there's 17 years between Scott and Brad, and Brad thinks of Betsy as his sister because he always knew her. She was always part of the family, and he even had a bedroom over at their house for a while. But each one of his brothers always, when he came home from the game, would give him their 2 cents, what he should do, what he needs to do to improve. So he had a lot of guidance. I didn't need to say much.
Don, has any of the boys ever told you about any of the pool parties they used to have over there in Westover?
Well, they weren't always real good about cleaning up. We'd come home. Mark was probably the worst, but they all had them. But
yeah, I think I was that one or two of them.
And he had everything by our trash and stacked 3 deep with bags and everything, and all kinds of stuff. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All part of raising boys, as you know.
Yeah. Yes, I do. And that guy that lives at Westover now doesn't keep that yard as nice as what you used to.
No.
For sure.
Well,
Sure.
we had at one time when I was building the maintenance, I bought the rink new nets, and as long as I could take the old ones home. So we used to have the Buccaneers, and we had that big driveway, so it was perfect, a garage on each end. And we had, I think one year we had 37 plexiglass is taken out of our garages, and but the boys had all kinds of games there, and a lot of our neighbors thought we had a home for boys. A lot of
Joe?
good memories there, though.
Joe, do you have any questions for your grandpa?
Better grandson. How about that one?
Oh, I tell you what, it's just like my sons. I love all my grandsons. I'm spoiled rotten because I'm like any typical father or grandfather. I enjoy every single one of them, and when they played their last, especially the two older ones played their last game of high school, it was pretty hard on Maga and I. We had a few tears along with everybody else, but
Yeah.
I love watching all our grandsons. They're a ball. They're all
Well-
special.
Well, you kind of hit on it there, Don, but I have one more question here for sure, and it comes from your boys, and Joe you kind of answered it, but I better ask it anyway. Your boys want to know which one is your favorite,
You know,
and that's
I knew
coming
that
from your
was
boys. Yeah.
coming. Yeah, I know that. They were all special, and I wouldn't I wouldn't change any of them a bit. They were all fantastic. I had a little saying I always said as a joke to the boys. I said, and the grandsons, I always say, remember your name's Krueger. You're not some kid down the street.
Right.
And I started as a joke, but they all joke about it. But it was a lot of fun. No, I'm very proud of all my sons, grandsons, and granddaughters too. And also one son, grandson, Will. He's a wonderful swimmer at Valley, and we enjoy that. He does short fire, so our family is pretty. We can do a little everything. We're not just hockey players.
Well,
And we might have a goalie coming in the family. I can't
oh
think
my.
of that.
Well, Don,
And
I was.
hopefully, what's that?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
And you know what that's like having a goalie.
Yes. Yes.
What was I just going to say?
Well-
Well, anyway, we're going to hopefully next year we'll have another grandson playing for the Capitals, Charlie. I know
Defenseman.
he's chomping at
Defenseman,
the
right?
bits. And what's that?
Is he a defenseman?
Yeah, that's something new in the family also.
Yeah. Don, I was
Yeah.
somewhere this
Dick-
year. I don't know where I was broadcasting at. I think I was. It wouldn't have been Waterloo. We weren't in Waterloo, but I don't know. Maybe Mason City or something. But I had a guy come up to me, and Clark was out there on the ice, and he comes up. He says, "I've been around this sport a long time and played the Capitals for a lot of years. How many more Krugers are there?" He goes, "Every time I turn around, there's a Krueger on the ice." He says, "Is it just full of Krugers down in Des Moines?" So I don't know who the guy was, but I thought it was funny, and he told me he'd been around probably just as long as you have, and there's always been a Krueger on the Capitals, so that was fun to hear. So
Yeah, it's a lot of great times, Tony.
Yeah.
It's really nice. And one thing I would like to say, which I know all the people that are listening, most of that know you, know what you've done for the Capitals. I mean, it's just I know from coaching myself, when you have a good team manager, it makes your job so much easier, and especially one like you. I was lucky to have some really good managers too, but you've done so much for the Des Moines Capitals, for the Buccaneers. Number one Buccaneer fan. If you're not with the Capitals, you're doing the Buck games, doing the clock. So, you
Yeah.
know,
thank you very much, Don. Don't remind my wife of that. She says she says I spend
But
too much
she's the
time at
same.
the. She is a saint, yeah, and she sounds like
she's like
serious.
my wife. She's like my wife. She's they're very good women, and put up with us
Yes.
and all the things we love. So that's neat.
Well, Don, with that, I think we're going to end it tonight. We've been on right at an hour or so. I really appreciate you coming on here. You're, in my eyes, you're the legend of Des Moines hockey, Des Moines youth hockey, and Valley Dowling Capitals and the Bucks, and you've done like I did. You've sat on a lot of boards. I'm sure you were on the Des Moines Youth Hockey Board, the Buccaneer boards. I think even somewhere I saw in notes that you're part of the Midwest High School League board. Is that true? Maybe.
Yeah, I was the treasurer for 18 years, I think.
For the Midwest High School League?
No, for the Midwest Hockey League, the amateur part.
Okay,
I was on the board. Yeah, I was on that board too, but not too long because I was coaching. But yeah, I'm like you. I enjoy talking hockey with anybody. So
yeah. Well, I appreciate everything you do, and I'm sure I'll see you next year at the rink. And even if we hope there's a Krueger on the team next year, but I know I saw you at the Bucks Arena at a few Capital practices. I think you live right next door to the Bucks Arena. It makes it easy to pop in and watch practice, get your hockey fix. So, but unless Blake and Joe have anything more for you, I think we're going to sign off. And I really appreciate you coming on tonight and talking some hockey while everybody's shut up in their house and really not much else to do. There's a lot of no live sports of anything going on, and this is the best thing we can come up with live. So,